Movie number four is a film called Falling Stars. It hits VOD in select theaters October 11th. It's the debut of director-producer duo Richard Karpala and Gabriel Binsicki. Binsicki is also the DP of the film, and Karpala is the writer as well, and both of them co-directed this movie. It centers on primarily three brothers who, on one evening of the harvest, here's the thing: the world is now, witches are part of humanity. And I don't know if it's an annual thing, but there's a harvest where the witches come down from the sky to accept the offerings from human beings, I think. But they look like, when you look at the sky, they're not actually falling stars, they're falling witches. That's why, but they look like falling stars. And so we live in a world supposedly where witches are part of our human existence. And what happens is three brothers decide one night to, during harvest season, to look at a witch that's buried out in the middle of, I think it's the Mojave Desert. They go with one of their friends, and the first, like, maybe 25% of the movie has them just venturing out and figure and trying to find this witch under the ground. When that happens, a lot of things do not go their way, and then they have to figure out how to remove the curse that has inflicted their family. That is a premise of Falling Stars. And here it says, quote, it is a quote, a bold deconstruction of the classic witch mythos. The film is set in an alternate reality where witches are very real. Did this movie seem very real to you, Eric? What did you think of Falling Stars?
Seemed very unreal to me. This is the one that I can't tell if it's brilliant or terrible. So first of all, like even calling that, like they do actually call them witches in the movie, but to describe this as a witch movie to someone, they're gonna be confused because like their version of witches in this movie are very different than what I think most people think of witches. One of the things that I did like is that they're all talking about witches and reacting to the falling stars, as if this is just something they know about. Like, don't play in the street. There's cars are gonna hit you. Don't be outside when there's falling stars because the witches will get you. That sort of thing. So it's not like anyone trying to convince anyone. Just everyone seems to already know about this. But then they have like that guy that does the radio show, like the
Right.
Coast to Coast with George Norrie, that sort of thing. Um and this in the context of this, it seems less like a conspiracy theory sort of show and more like an actual news program, really, which is interesting. It's kind of cool uh watching these characters who already know about this world and they're not surprised, like they when they get in danger, they realize the danger they're in, but they're not surprised about it because this is, you know, oh no, I walked into the woods and a bear attacked me. Like you know, I'm definitely feeling the danger, but I'm not surprised that happened because bears live in the woods. I walked out into the woods and it attacked me, you know. Uh, but it was kind of cool being someone from the outside because I don't know this world and I'm watching the characters go through this. You know, this is all old hat to them. So that was pretty interesting. Um, and then like the acting in this is very strange because there's like one actor acting a very like I would almost say bad acting, but then the other characters kind of are doing the air quote bad acting in the same way that they are. So now it doesn't seem like bad acting anymore. It seems like a stylistic choice. And then was it the mom character that
Hmm.
they she shows up like halfway through the movie and she starts acting kind of distant and weird. And I like at first it was like, oh man, she's doing the bad acting thing too, but she's doing the bad acting in a different way. And then I realized, oh wait, no, she's just maybe she's possessed or I don't know what.
It's the whole thing with the witches, though, right?
Yeah,
The people
it's
act
weird
weird.
because like
Yeah.
on one hand, like I could watch this movie in a way and say, uh, the acting's terrible and the story doesn't make sense and this and that, but then like I couldn't get this movie out of my head because I'm seeing all these things instead of seeing them as flaws. I'm seeing them as a pattern of stylistic choices in this movie, and now I'm like, what does it all mean, man? And then start like start doing conspiracy theories of my own just based on this movie, just trying to put the pieces together. and I couldn't stop doing that. So yeah, this movie is either absolutely brilliant and I'm still trying to catch up with it, or it's completely stupid and I'm just tripping over myself for no reason and I cannot decide which one it is.
Oh, that's very interesting.
This might be the hardest movie to rate stars, and I wish we didn't do it, and especially for this movie. I have no idea.
You have no idea. You don't have a star rating for this.
I,
This
I
movie
don't
is
I don't think I do.
yeah, this movie is weird because it looks really good.
Oh
The
yeah.
movie looks, and they probably shot it for not that much money. And it's one of these things, again, it's directed by Richard Carpala, who's the writer, Gabriel Binsicki, and I apologize for mispronouncing the name. Gabriel, he does such a great job with what little they have to work with. There's a sequence where the three brothers and their friend, they're walking out to the supposed grave site, the burial site of the witch. And instead of using, and it's shot in the dark, and for several minutes, you just see flashlights on the ground with them speaking. This movie is very exposition laden, and they do some really great visual and especially some lighting stuff too, is in the interiors of the home. Eric mentioned the mother. She has a long, weird story monologue, which will either tune you out or draw you in, possibly maybe drew Eric in
I
for a
did
second.
both for
Did
me.
both. So, and there is a lot of dialogue, but the way the dialogue is framed, it's amidst a backdrop of some really visually immersive framework and composition work. And it's great because you don't see many indie driven lo-fi movies that have this beautiful, strong visual sense. Bruce Perky, he mentions this on the cinematic. He gave up halfway through this movie. He just quit on this movie. And I guess he hated it. He didn't want to even, I wish he actually completed it and just, you basically pulled it apart. Or, I wish he finished the movie and he could have given it 1 or 2 stars.
I honestly wish the movie finished the movie.
The movie
It-
did
to-
finish
to-
the movie did finish the movie
no, it didn't.
completely.
No, it didn't. No.
How do you
Here's the thing.
wait, how do you think
It,
it does not finish the movie?
it was wrapping up. They were getting so close.
It
They were
totally
getting so
ended.
close to like tying things up. I'm like, I get it now. And then they roll credits. I'm like, I was like, don't you dare roll
The-
credit. Like it went black. I'm like, don't you dare roll credits. And then it did another shot. I'm like, okay, it's still going. Thank God. We're gonna figure out this thing. And then the credits start rolling. I'm like, you son of a. Oh!
no, no, I totally disagree. The ending was perfect. I mean, people can read it however they want. So
Yeah.
you might have an open-ended ending, like Eric said, but for me, it's a very final ending, which is excellent. But I there were some frustrating moments in Falling Stars, but this folk horror film, I'm giving it credit for its lo-fi, giving a ton of credit for its visual sense. The mother, that monologue is fantastic by the mother. I thought she was great in this movie. And when she's acting weird, I can't really give spoilers, but that's intended, in my opinion. I really
Does that make sense though, what I was saying about that? Where it seems like it's bad acting, but
no
it's
the
like across the board, so it's more like a stylistic choice.
yeah, everyone's acting eccentric because they're living in a world where witches are can just pretty
Yeah.
much snap them up and make them disappear. So
Yeah.
people are always going to be a little bit off base.
Well,
And
not just like the actual like the way they talk to each other. It sounds I don't know. It's just
mm,
weird, but it's consistently weird. And it's not like they're
yeah,
in distress or anything like that. It's just their characters act yeah, very strange.
yeah, the fact that we're actually talking about this movie longer than an average review means that there's some really interesting stuff to talk about at Falling Stars. I really wish Falling Stars, not Falling Skies, but Falling Stars. I'm gonna be honest. I was frustrated at points in this movie. Ultimately, though, the third act nails it for me, and the performances were solid. And I loved the way this movie looked. If I if I saw this in the theater, I would have liked it. And it's one of those movies that I think it would have looked really good in the theater. But anyways, on VOD, select theaters October 11th. Eric is wondering whether it's the worst movie he saw this week or the best. And for me, Falling Stars, 4 stars. Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Final thoughts or ratings, Eric?
Um, yeah, I'm all over the place on this one. I'm literally trying to decide between half star and 5 stars because I honestly don't know. I'm gonna give the filmmakers the benefit of the doubt and think because I do think that like the air quote bad parts of it are like consistent with
Mm.
like with the acting, the bad acting is consistent across the boards. Like it's kind of okay, like you see Bill Murray in a Wes Anderson movie. and then you see Bill Murray in any other movie. He acts a certain way in a Wes Anderson movie, but he also acts in a similar way that everyone else in a Wes Anderson movie
Oh no, I
acts.
got you. Yeah, I
So
got you.
that's kind of what the characters are like here. They're acting in a really strange way, but they're all consistently acting like that. So I'm gonna give the filmmakers the benefit of the doubt
By
and
the way,
say
this
that,
movie would be a better watch second time around too. This is gonna be
oh,
one of those.
probably the 20th time.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the fact that I'd spent so much time after watching the movie trying to pick it apart, that doesn't happen in a bad movie. But with the cat movie, I was more puzzled. Like I'm like I don't get the metaphor. It doesn't really connect or make any sense. With this, I'm like picking parts and like actually putting pieces together, and I haven't figured it all out, but there's enough there for me to play with and try to figure it out. So I'm gonna, yeah. I can go 5 stars on this.
Five stars.
I'm just gonna assume this is great because I spent so much time thinking about it and pondering it and trying to
This is a well thought out movie. And to your
yeah,
point, it's really well thought out and nuanced, and they're trying to build a world here. And I'm just so looking forward to if they decide to make another film together with maybe a little bit more money or whatever, a
I'd be down
bigger.
with that.
I'd be totally down with it. Maybe, gosh, this could be I think this movie could be a calling card for these filmmakers because I was highly impressed with this movie.
Yeah.
Again, there were moments that where it almost lost me, but it kept, I kept coming back for more. So, and
I
I kind of agree with your stuff with the acting because you're wondering, this doesn't feel like a regular folk horror movie, even. It's just a way, but the way it's done, I think it's a really well done film overall.
I would say that if we could have reviewed this yesterday, could have reviewed it tomorrow, and it could have been a half star at either one of those days. But I'm landing on 5 stars now. I'll
That's
stick with that.
amazing.
But again, hey, if you watch Falling Star, like Bruce said, he bailed halfway through. I get that too. If you watch and you're like halfway through and you think it sucks, like I get it, and like part of me agrees, but then part of me like, yeah, this was not a good one to put star ratings on. I think this movie is just so strange and out there that it kind of goes beyond that sort of thing.
Yeah, this,
Ironically, because it's about falling stars and
yeah, or
doesn't really
falling,
lend itself to star ratings.
or yeah, falling brujas, falling witches.
Yeah, give it 5 witches.
That's amazing. Okay. So, anyways, this is one of our longest discussions on a movie in a while. So that I don't know. I'm just gonna say, cinematics listeners, give Falling Stars a shot. And if you completely hate it, like Bruce did, you can yell at me and Eric. We allow that. And just remember, Eric is a little bit conflicted on this movie, but it's really cool that he gave it 5 stars. I give 4 stars.